The arena's crimson sand crunched beneath Kevin's boots as he stepped into the circular combat pit. Above him, thousands of alien spectators from dozens of species filled the tiered seats, their collective roar creating a cacophony that shook the very foundations of the structure. This was Zur Prime, the neutral ground where disputes between star systems were settled through ritual combat rather than war. Kevin had never wanted to be here. He was just a cargo pilot ferrying supplies between human colonies. But when his ship had been seized under false accusations of smuggling contraband, the authorities had given him one choice: fight for his freedom or rot in their detention centers for the next decade. His opponent entered from the opposite gate. She was magnificent and terrifying in equal measure. Standing nearly 7 feet tall, the warrior woman moved with the lethal grace of a predator. Her skin was a deep azure blue, marked with bioluminescent patterns that pulsed with her heartbeat. For eyes, arranged in a diamond pattern on her face, assessed him with cold calculation. She wore minimal armor, just enough to be ceremonial, revealing muscles that rippled beneath her alien skin like coiled steel cables. This was Mia Aish of the Kree Empire, a champion who had never lost a duel. The Krell were known throughout the galaxy as the most formidable warriors, their entire civilization built upon martial prowess and honor in combat. Human, her voice boomed, translated instantly by the neural implant behind Kevin's ear. You face Mia Aish, Blade of the Empress, victor of the Crimson Campaigns. Kneel now, and I will make your end swift. Kevin rolled his shoulders, feeling the familiar ache of old injuries. Thanks for the offer, but I think I'll stand. Mia's eyes narrowed. In her culture, such defiance from a smaller opponent was either supreme courage or supreme foolishness. She activated her weapon, a staff that extended from both ends, crackling with blue energy. The crowd's roar intensified. Kevin didn't carry fancy alien tech. He had his fists, his wits, and the combat training that every human who ventured into deep space learned to survive. The instructors called it CQC, close quarters combat, a brutal amalgamation of every fighting style humanity had developed over millennia. Mia charged. She was fast, faster than should be possible for something so large. Her staff whistled through the air in a complex pattern designed to overwhelm and disorient. Kevin ducked, rolled, and came up inside her guard. He drove his elbow into her ribs with all his strength. It was like hitting a bulkhead. Pain shot up his arm. Mia barely flinched. She swept her leg in a wide arc that would have decapitated him if he hadn't dropped flat to the sand. He scrambled away, his mind racing. Strength wouldn't work. He needed to be smarter. For the next several minutes, Kevin employed every trick he knew. Feints, misdirection, using her momentum against her. He was bleeding from a dozen cuts where her staff had grazed him, moving purely on adrenaline and desperation. But he was also learning her patterns, seeing the micro-hesitations before each strike. Then he saw his opening. Mia overextended on a thrust, and Kevin grabbed the staff, using it to swing himself around and deliver a kick to the back of her knee. She stumbled. In that moment of imbalance, Kevin wrenched the weapon away and tossed it beyond the arena's edge. Now they were both unarmed. Mia's expression changed from cold calculation to something approaching respect. She raised her fists in a fighting stance that was eerily similar to human boxing. You fight well for a prey species, she said. But this ends now. They clashed again, fists against fists. Kevin took 3 hits for everyone he landed, but he kept moving, kept fighting. His vision was beginning to blur from blood and sweat. One of his ribs was definitely cracked, but he refused to go down. Then Mia made her mistake. She went for a grapple, trying to use her superior strength to end the fight. Kevin twisted in her grip, and his shirt, already torn from the battle, ripped completely away from his back. Mia froze. Her grip loosened instantly, and she stepped back, all her eyes wide with something that looked like shock. The crowd's noise dimmed as confusion rippled through the arena. Kevin stood there breathing heavily, blood dripping from his nose, not understanding why she'd stopped. What is it? Mia stared at his back, at the tattoo that covered his shoulder blades and spine. It was a phoenix, wings spread wide, rising from flames. Kevin had gotten it after surviving a ship crash that had killed his entire crew. A reminder that humans endured, that they rose from their ashes. But Mia saw something else entirely. "The flame bird," she whispered, her voice carrying in the sudden silence. "The ancient mark of the first ones." Kevin wiped blood from his eyes. "What are you talking about?" Mia slowly circled him, examining the tattoo with reverence. 10,000 cycles ago, before the Krell Empire, before most civilizations in this galaxy, there were the first ones. They vanished, leaving only ruins and legends. But in every Krell temple, in our most sacred texts, there is an image, a warning, and a promise. A bird of fire, symbol of the species that would one day return to judge us all. She looked at Kevin with new eyes. "We thought it was myth. We thought the first ones were gods who had abandoned us. But you are human, and humans have this mark. How long have your people been traveling the stars?" Kevin thought about the question. Humanity's expansion into space had begun roughly 2 centuries ago. A blink of an eye in cosmic terms. Not long. We're new to all this. New. Mia seemed stunned. But the prophecy speaks of the Flamebird people who seeded the galaxy with life, who built the hyperspace lanes we still use, who created the quantum gates, the technology we base our entire civilization upon. We've been scavenging it for millennia, never understanding how it truly worked. Kevin's mind reeled. He thought about Earth's history, about the inexplicable evolutionary leaps, about the ancient structures that predated known civilization. He thought about the weird compatibility between human DNA and almost every alien species they'd encountered, something xenobiologists had called statistically impossible. "I don't know about any of that," Kevin said. "Honestly, I just know humans don't quit. We get knocked down. We get back up. Every time." Mia dropped to one knee, pressing her fist to her chest in a Krell salute. "I concede this duel. I cannot raise my hand against the Flamebird people. To do so would be to spit upon the grave of creation itself." The arena erupted in chaos. Kevin stood there bleeding and confused as the reality of the situation crashed over him. He'd come here expecting to die. Instead, he'd accidentally revealed something that would change humanity's place in the galaxy forever. As medical teams rushed toward him and officials descended to sort out the unprecedented situation, Kevin allowed himself a small, painful smile. Humanity had always been good at stumbling into things they didn't understand and somehow coming out on top. Maybe that was the real human superpower after all.